just looking out this morning. Beautiful sky this morning. Got to brush off the night. This is your day. When I am free to walk with you. In everything I do, I walk with you. Morning, David. This is your day. You have given to me to walk with you. When I worship you, I worship you. And the sky is blue, and the leaves are green, and in this beauty you are seen. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day the Lord has made. I lift my hands in praise and adoration. You are the one who made all things. Everything is in your hands, and so am I. Morning, Heather. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Morning, Abigail. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Yes, I will. This is the day I will rejoice. I will. And let nothing hold me down, nothing stand in my way, nothing make me sad or lonely. This is the day I will rejoice. This is the day I will rejoice. This is the day. This is the day. This is the day I will rejoice. We do need to throw off the night, don't we? Had a long day yesterday and a lot of live streaming, and it's very tiring, particularly the evening one, 8 o'clock. And by the time I've done that, usually I'm tired. And I wake up, and it has to be shaken off. You have to rise up and shake off the glooms. Morning, Denise. Love is flowing like a river. I was thinking that this morning, looking out the window here, and the sky is sort of cloudy and blue, and the trees are green and lovely, and you know, that's all going to flow into me, all that loveliness and that joy, because there's so much that's negative that has to go. Love is flowing like a river. Love is flowing into my soul. Love is flowing like a river. Love is flowing into my soul. You know that the river of love is flowing all the time, that the whole of the world is inside the mighty river of the love of God. Everything, the whole planet is kind of embraced in the love which is pouring down and surrounding us all the time. Because he loves what he's created, and we're in that love, we're in that river, and we have to let it flow into us, especially first thing in the morning. Love is flowing like a river. Love is flowing into my soul. Yes, love is flowing like a river. Love is flowing into my soul. Joy is flowing like a river, like a river into my soul. Joy is flowing like a river into my soul. Hope is flowing like a river, like a river into my soul. Hope is flowing like a river, like a river into my soul. Bit of a flow, isn't it? What you don't get, of course, is what I get here is the sound of the guitar running into my body, and that's lovely. I feel the sense of God's rhythm, God's presence. Every morning, every night, we wake up in the morning and we have to re-establish all our hopes and longings and loves. We mustn't set out into the day without doing that first, just rejoicing in his presence. Lazy days, living in your love, knowing that you'll always be there. Isn't that lovely? Lazy days, living in your love, knowing that you'll always, knowing that you'll always, knowing that you'll always be there. Now, you know, that's the song I love. I wrote quite a long time ago, and I sing it quite a lot because I am a dreamer. It's a bit of a dreamer song, but that one needs to be played on another guitar. Lazy days, living in your love, knowing that you'll always be there. Every day, every night, knowing that you're watching, knowing that you're loving, knowing that you're caring over me. Ah, it's lovely, that, isn't it? Lovely, lovely song. That one needs the more sensitive guitar. That's the one. This side, that one. That guitar loves that song, and really, you know, floats it out beautifully, even first thing in the morning. I once had to lead a morning worship at 6 o'clock at a conference. It's hard work, but nevertheless, the Spirit moves whenever He moves. Faith is a risk. That's what I was thinking about in the night. Faith is a risk. That's because tonight at 8 o'clock, 2000, I'm speaking on heaven and you know, our eternal destiny, and that's a risk too, because we know a lot. But nevertheless, when you go to sleep for the last time, that's a risk, isn't it? That everything you've trusted and believed will work out. And I was reminded of this woman, one I've always loved, a story I've always loved. When Jesus, and that's probably, therefore, probably we today, Morning Denise, have got to take a risk in our lives. Don't know. You know the story. Jesus has crossed over the lake, and the people come from Jairus to ask him, Jesus, to come and heal this little girl. In the process, this happened. A large crowd followed and pressed round him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was free from her suffering. Not easy for a man to understand that, or perhaps we can, but women understand it better. This 12 years of your life's blood pouring out of you is very debilitating, both physically and emotionally, and she's a very damaged woman. She daren't come in the crowd. That was not permitted. In those days, this kind of illness, you had to be isolated. Time passes and we learn, but in those days, this is how it was. So she takes a big risk. She decides that if she can touch Jesus, she'll be healed, which is incredible faith, that, isn't it, really? I think she's a very faithful woman. I always feel this, and a very determined one. And she says, I'll go into the crowd. You know, if she'd been found out, I don't know what would have happened to her. I haven't looked up what the Levitical law said, but it would be pretty bad news all round, whatever. Because disobeying that law, because they thought that bleeding would carry disease. And there'd have been a big hoo-ha for her, you bet your life. But you see, she's determined and faithful. But that isn't enough for walking with Christ. Determined and faithful isn't enough. They're essential. We have to have faith in order to walk with him, I have to be determined to keep going because there's plenty of reasons for stopping. But that isn't enough, you know. And I see this a lot with churches who are determined and faithful but miss the third ingredient, and so really achieve very little. To determination and faith to walk with Christ, we have to add risk. Faith is risk. It's no guarantee. You know, if you jump out the window, there's a guarantee you'll hit the ground. You'll hit the ground, interestingly enough, accelerating at 32 feet per second. That's what will happen. That's guaranteed. But faith isn't a guarantee. There's a great element of risk in it. That's what makes it faith. And I see many Christians are determined and faithful men and women. I meet many faithful churches, but I see they're missing the third ingredient. This woman, however, wasn't missing it. She wanted to touch Jesus, so she took the risk. And it was a genuine risk. And it probably took some time. You know, it's not like one of those risks that you can quickly deal with, done. No, this went on and on. She had to weave her way around the crowd. And big crowds always surrounded Jesus. So she had to make her way through the crowd to get to the front. If you've been to a big festival, a really big church event, a big celebration, a big thing in a stadium or a big hall, if you've been to a football match amongst a big crowd, getting through it is not easy. When we go to our Amex football ground, the floor where we watch, the floor outside is the hospitality area, and there's 2,000 or 3,000 people in that before the match. Now my grandson Ben often wants to go to the gentlemen's before that match, and so we have to weave our way through the crowd, and it takes quite a while. I've said to him now, Ben, if you want to go to the bathroom, you must tell me straight away, because it's going to take us 3 or 4 minutes to get there. When the concourse is empty, it takes half a minute, but when there's a crowd, you have to weave your way around a crowd. You know this. So she's got quite a task on to get through. So the risk is going to be there for a long time. It's not going to go away. But she takes it. And all the risk that goes with it, of first of all, her being found out. That's one risk. Secondly, of her faith not being rewarded. That she finishes up back home, having taken the risk in the same state she started. Risk is risk. You can't pretty it up. It is what it is. And she takes it. And she reaches Jesus, as you know, and she touches him. And that lovely word 29, immediately her bleeding stopped. Not all healing is immediate. Sometimes it comes in phases. We see that later in the life of Jesus. But this one, mostly it's immediate. This was immediate. She knew. You know inside yourself when you're getting better, don't you? You know when the crisis has passed. I've had malaria many times. I've had immune dysentery and stuff and all that, and laid in hospital. And one moment I suddenly know, hey, I'm over it. You know that feeling, don't you? She knew it. It was done. Fantastic. Her faith brought its own reward. However, faith brings a double reward. A risk brings a double reward. Risk brings stacks of rewards with it for those that endure it. And this is the reward. But once Jesus realized that power had gone out of him. Yes, true. If you're involved in healing other people or anything, you can feel when the power is moving, and he felt that. We don't find that difficult. He turned to the crowd and he said, "Who touched my clothes?" And the disciples, you know, the 12 men who are basically pretty dim, they said, "You see all the people crowding around you, ho, 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 yet you ask who touched you." Jeez. One day I must preach on them. You know, they really are hopeless. Isn't it good that God uses hopeless people? Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Anyway, they're up again with another stupid comment. But Jesus, looking around, he wanted to see who had done it. The woman, knowing what had happened to her, is now in a terrible state. See, she hasn't worked out that risk brings double reward. She hasn't figured that out. She fears that when she goes forward, first of all, he'll point her out, so then she'll be in contravention of the Jewish law and all the penalties will come to her. Secondly, he'll condemn her and she'll be unhealed. Goodness knows what she was thinking. Anyway, she goes forward, and trembling with fear, she told him the whole truth. Isn't that lovely? The whole truth. She told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Well, that's all right then." No, Oh, well, okay, woman. That's okay then, Mrs. Brown, whatever your name is, that's fine. No. 34. Daughter. Daughter. He raises her up to the position of being his daughter. He raises her higher and higher and higher above all the people and all the stupid disciples and everybody else. He said, you, by your faith and your risk, not only are you healed, but you have become my daughter. Wow. That's what risk brings. We have to take the risks without knowing the rewards. It was a genuine risk. There's no pretending here. She was in a very risk situation which had genuine dangers to it. That's what we have to be as Christians. We have to take risks in our faith. The rewards, however, are beyond our wildest dreams. She went back to her house. No more bleeding, no more doctors, no more everything. She'd probably wash and change and then start to eat and be better and so on, and her face would begin to look good again, and she'd comb her hair and everything, and all the wonderful return to life. But the real blessing, the real healing was in her heart. Now she knew she was a daughter of the King. Brilliant, isn't it? Risk is risk, but it brings the greatest rewards. Let's lead a risk-taking life. I wonder what we'll be faced with today as individuals. You see, I always feel that the Lord, in all that I teach, the Lord raises up the message to match who's here today. I believe that when we do Facebook every day, this is the message for today. Somebody today needs to hear risk, 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 risk. I'm a risk taker. I always have been. And I just know the joy of on the face of the Lord when he sees that his servants have been prepared to risk everything for him. Do it. Isn't that good, don't you think? Lovely story that. Love it. I never thought it could be like this. Just you and me, absorbed and absorbing, and in that both completely whole. You, just you and me, nothing like I ever thought it could ever be, filled with a love I could not afford and could never hope to buy. I turned to speak, but you put your hand on me. No need, you said. I'm found, and in that finding, I touch the face of God. That's me. I never understood why the Lord would bother with someone like me. I couldn't understand it. And then I read 1 John 4:10. This is what love is, not that we have loved God, but he's loved us and sent his son to be the means by which our sins are forgiven. And I'd never met selfless love before, and I spent all my life trying to understand it, and finally I understood it. I am absorbed totally into its love, and I am complete in that moment. But here's the incredible truth. He is complete as well. My accepting of his selfless love makes me and him complete. It's a stunning two-way process. It's as though the Lord, for completeness, needs all those he has called to himself to fit themselves into his love. Then they're complete, and so is he. This is difficult because it's way beyond our intellect. That's why poets are quite useful, because they're quite happy to deal in these kind of mysteries. And one day I finally understood what this love really meant. I could touch the face of God. That's a poet's expression, of course. But I watched a baby in a pram a little while ago, and the mummy bent down to fiddle around with it, whatever it needed. And while she was rearranging the covers, this little hand came out and reached up and touched her. And that was the moment I realised that that's what I want to do. I want to reach up and touch the face of God. And then I realised I can, because love enables me to do that. Now I know this is quite, deep, but, that's where I am. And I wasn't going to read this poem this morning. I had another two or three I thought were much better than this. But then, you just have to respond to the Spirit. You've got to imagine this is me reaching out like that baby. I never thought it could be like this. Just you and me, absorbed and absorbing, and in that moment, both complete. You and me, nothing like I ever thought it could be, loved with a love I could not afford, never hoped to buy, yet freely given. I turned to speak, but you put your hand on me. No need, you said. I'm found, and in that finding have touched the face of God. I had a vision once. I have them, I was walking along the seashore, and there was a wall facing the sea. The sun was going down, and the sea was on fire, golden. It was beautiful. It really was. And I saw someone sitting on a wall, and I went and sat next to them. I just see what Pat says. Love that he sees us as sons and daughters, yes. Morning, Sandra. I saw someone sitting on a wall. And when I got close, I thought it was the Lord. I saw it was the Lord sitting there looking at the sunset. So I went and sat next to him. And after a while I said, it's beautiful, isn't it? And he said, yes, I thought that when I made it. And there was a long pause, and then he said to me, have you anything to ask me? I said, no, I just want to sit here. And then I said to him, is there anything you want to ask me? And he said, no, I just want to sit here. And we just sat together, watching the sun go down. And that's touching the face of God, and out of that came this little poem. It's lovely to be loved with which a love I never believed I could have. I knew I could never buy, because there wasn't the money in the world for it. And I'm given it every day. Wonderful, isn't it? Well, as always, I just don't know where the time goes. I honestly don't. We now know, reading the press this morning, that Archie is going to die today, if that's the will of God, when the support is withdrawn. We can say all sorts of things, we can have all sorts of agonies and everything, but this is where we are, and so all we can do is pray that this is the right decision, and that the mother will, in the fullness of time, find some peace over what's happened. And it would be good if she were able eventually to take all that she's learned and use it for the help of others. And maybe that's what she'll do. So we must just pray now that God's will be done. There's not much else we can do. Well, there we are. Gosh, what a moving morning that was. Well, there you go. It's Chatterbox, isn't it? I never know what's going to happen. I just chatter. I chat. I go on forever. It's lucky this morning I stopped singing, because I was in the mood to sing for an hour or so. Perhaps wouldn't have been good. So tonight, 8 o'clock, 2000 hours BST, the last of our these three growing on, looking at heaven and hell. It's quite interesting what the Bible teaches. We'll do that, and next week we're going to look at growing at the church, at what the Bible teaches, at Satan, what the Bible teaches, and disciples, what the Bible teaches. So growing on will grow on into next week. But tonight, it'll be the third in our series. We've done, last night we looked at Second Coming. It was quite good. It was Holy Spirit, Second Coming. It was interesting, wasn't it? Tonight, what happens after the Second Coming. So I'm going to pick up on 1 Thessalonians 4. We are caught up in the air, and take it on from there. Hope you can come. And if you can come, live chat, because the live chat last night was astonishing. Take the chance to say what you want to say. You have to be subscribed to live chat. So that's 2000 hours tonight. That's 1900 hours in Ghana, and we'll be here. And so now I'm going to switch to Facebook for our Facebook family at 5 to 8. And if you're on our stream now, and I see those that are on are all part of our Facebook family, see you there. If you're not part of our Facebook family, YouTube will stay on, so you can stay with us. And I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7:20 to see what the Lord has to say to us. Thanks, everybody. Now we'll set up for Facebook.